All right, so there's another side of factoring. So what happens when there's a number that's in front of the square term? All right, so first we know, you've got to know that there's at least 15 different ways to approach this type of problem. There's a bunch of different ways to do factoring, a bunch of different ways to do this kind of factoring. I'm going to show you a way called borrowing. With all the tutoring that I've done and every time I've taught it, this seems to be the easiest way for people to understand. But if you're working with someone else and they give you a different approach to it, listen and be open-minded. They may have a way that you just happen to find easier. All right, so the borrowing method takes a polynomial like this one where you've got 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. That 2 causes some problems. So what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to let c, or the last term, borrow the first term by multiplying them together. Once I take that 2 to the other end and I have x squared minus 5x plus 6, that's something that we've done before. So that is a problem that we can factor. So we go ahead and we factor it just like we have been doing. Now the two numbers that would multiply to give me positive 6 but would add to give me negative 5 would be negative 2 and negative 3. It's because negative 2 times negative 3 equals positive number 6 and negative 2 plus negative 3 equals negative 5. Alright, so once it's factored, you need to give your 2 back because you only borrowed it temporarily. So I'm going to try to divide it out of each of my numbers. The number that it divides into, just let it divide. The number that it doesn't divide into, you take that 2 and you put it up front. So for a problem like this one, 2 divides into itself, so 2 over 2 just becomes negative 1. 3 is not divisible by 2, so that 2 sits up front and it becomes 2x minus 3. That's the answer, okay? So you can check your work by redistributing back out and you end up with the 2x minus 5x plus 3, which is exactly what you started with if we take a look right there. So that is the correct answer. Okay. So another example, 3x squared minus 10x plus 3. Well, I'm going to borrow the 3 over to the end, so x squared minus 10x plus 9, and then that factors into x minus 9, x minus 1. I'm going to try to divide both numbers by 3. This one divides beautifully, so I just let 9 be divided by 3 and I get negative 3 right here. This one doesn't divide at all, so I'm going to take that 3 and I'm going to put it right out here back into the very front of this answer. So I paid it back. Another example is I've got 6x squared minus 21x plus 15. Now, although we do want to borrow, the very first thing we need to notice is that 6, 21, and 15 are all divisible by the number 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is factor out that 3, all right, and pull it out as the greatest common factor. So the 3 goes on the outside at this step, but it's not going to affect anything else. It's just going to hang on the outside of every step. I'm going to let the 5 down here be borrowed, or borrow the 2. So I get x squared minus 7x plus 10. I'm going to try to pay back the 2 and divide both of these numbers by 2. It divides into this one beautifully, so I'll just divide 2 divided by 2 and that equals negative 1. 5 does not divide by 2, so I'm going to pull it right out front and I get 2x minus 5. The 3 comes down, so the full answer is 3 times 2x minus 5 times x minus 1. One more quick example. 4x squared minus 15x plus 9. The 4 gets borrowed by the 9, x squared minus 15x plus 36. 36 is factored into negative 12 and negative 3, which will add together to equal negative 15. I borrowed 4, so I'm going to give it back. It doesn't divide out of the 3, so we put it up front. It divides into the 12, so it becomes just 3. X minus 3 times 4x minus 3.